working on it.
All right, very good then. I don't see Janet on the feed, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick roll call for board members present, so show that we have a quorum. And it looks like being with Ron.
Here.
And Denny.
Here.
And what happened to? Oh, there's Brian right there.
Here.
And myself, Tim, and then I see Ken.
Here.
Okay, and that looks like all the board members, correct? Did I miss any board members?
We're missing Tony.
Janet.
Tony and Janet is who we're missing, yeah. So, but anyway, so it looks like we got 5 of us, so we have a quorum. So going right along, Laura, I looked for the, let me turn on my video here. Laura, I looked for the agenda on the website and I couldn't find it attached to the calendar. So I don't have the agenda sitting in front of me. So where are we at with our first item on the agenda?
Roll call.
Didn't I just do that?
Conflicts of interest.
Tim, I can help. I can share my screen.
Sure. Conflicts of interest. So anybody on the committee that has any potential conflicts of interest with tonight's agenda, please state for the record. If there's nothing at this time, something comes up later in the meeting, be sure and speak up at that time.
Announcements.
Any announcements?
Public comments, please limit comments to 3 minutes each.
Public comments. Anybody in the community wish to speak, please raise your hand or state your name for the record.
Chair's remarks.
Chair's remarks. There's not a lot on tonight's agenda because we obviously we're waiting for test results and stuff from our monitoring wells and stuff that will be coming along down the road. So that's when our real action stuff is going to truly begin. So I don't have a whole lot for the remarks.
We'll wait till the treasurer's report. Action agenda is next, and the June 5th and June 26th meeting summaries, motion to approve needed.
May and June or June, July, May and June.
June 5th and June 26th is what it says on the agenda.
Okay. June 5th would be the May. Okay, at the end of the April, we received a,
Oh, I think there's some confusion. So I think where we are on the agenda is just the motion to approve the meeting summary notes. We're not to the treasurer's report just yet.
True.
And the June 5th meeting was the regular meeting, and the June 26th meeting was your special meeting to adopt the budget.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion on to approve the notes, meeting notes.
The June 5th was the meeting notes, and June 26th was what, Laura?
It was your special meeting to adopt your budget.
So
I move that we accept the meeting notes as laid out in the agenda.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we want to do a roll call vote on that then? I will first call on Denny.
Aye.
Ron,
You're muted, Ron.
you're muted, Ron, so
aye,
there we go. Brian,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay,
Motion passes. Next is treasury report, Ron Evans. May and June treasury report, motion to approve needed.
And in May, we processed an invoice from the MCOG for invoice 2383. And Janet made check number 1008 to pay that. The check never got there, so I had to put a stop payment on the check. And she's reissuing a new check to cover that. We received invoice 2471 from the COG for the amount of 1684 dated 4/30/23. And there was 2 outstanding checks, 5 and 6, that we discovered, and we voided those checks. In June, that's when we discovered that the check hadn't arrived. Check number 8 had not arrived at the COG, so she reissued a new check, or is going to. Invoice number 2471, that's for $1,684. That was scheduled to be payment without requiring approval. That's it. We got another invoice, but that was in July. So that's it for May and June.
And the July invoice was for who?
We've got 3 invoices outstanding for COG right now. It's 2383 for that's for $7,787.04. That was dated 3/31. We got invoice number 2471 dated 4/30. That's for 1684. We've got a new invoice 2534, also for 1684, dated 31 May 23.
And what about CIS?
I don't know. We got the invoice from them, and it was passed on to Janet. I don't know if she's been able to write a check for that yet or not. I haven't been able to confirm that.
Just to let everybody know that when Tim and I met with COG and we were deciding on the agenda, I brought up that we need to offer help to Janet. Figure out some way that Ron can have access to the invoices at Mill City Hall, and also have access to the checks to help out Janet, so he can write checks and get the invoice paid. And it was supposed to be on the agenda and never made it onto the agenda.
And one thing on the invoices, they're going to Janet's box at Mill City. I shouldn't have access to her box, so if I was to get that, we'd probably have to set up an NSSA box in Mill City. But then we would have to change the address on everything, or I don't know how that would work.
I don't,
I don't think you'd have to change the address on anything, because
No, that's right.
the boxes are just right there, and staff just puts it in the appropriate boxes. So I could probably see to it.
I'm actually getting copies of most of the invoices. So I have them. If I could get access to the checks, I could, all the COG ones and the CIS and the, so far everything else, I've got copies of the invoice.
Yeah, and we'd also be pretty interested in some of those invoices also for between our 2 IGAs for the 150,000, because those are what are funding the COG services. So we'd love to see the COG invoices so we can audit them and track them.
see them paid or just see the invoices?
Just the invoices.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't need copies of the checks.
So,
If you guys are keeping the invoices for COG, we'd love to keep some of those too in our records.
is there a way,
We can make that arrangement.
excuse me, Tim, Mr. Chair, is there some way that we can make sure that we get this to work to where Ron can have access, not just have access to City Hall, but access to whatever comes in there for NSSA?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. We just, I guess, got to figure out a way or something. I'll have to talk to them down at City Hall to make sure that they sort it out and put it into a box that basically that myself and Janet and Ron would all have access to, I would say.
Is there a location next to Janet's box that there could just be a second box right next to it that says NSSA?
Sure, we could do something to that effect, yes.
And then that one, then you're not reaching into her box itself. You're just reaching into a box next to it. So
Right.
it doesn't feel intrusive or something.
Well, there's not a lot of real sensitive information that goes into those counselor boxes anyway, so it's pretty much all public record anyway. So I'm gonna put that on my notes to talk to them for though down there. I think one of the big things though is going to be to access for checks. I don't think we want to leave the checks just sitting in the box.
No.
So for some reason we need to have Ron to have access for the checks.
Is it,
I'll talk to Janet about that and we'll figure out a way to do that. We can probably just leave them there at City Hall and have either our finance clerk or our city recorder just keep them in their desk or something. We just ask for them.
Yeah. I wouldn't have to take them out of City Hall. I could do everything right there.
That's what I figured as well. So, yeah.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. I'm just making my notes here.
Thank you, Ron.
Do you have those supplies in your office? Or do you need does Nissa need to purchase it for like a box like that?
It's just a little box that mounts on the wall. I don't know if we have any extra ones or not, but we'll get something there.
Okay.
So May and June treasury motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So I guess we'll open it up to approve the invoices.
I make a motion to approve May and June treasury report and for bills to be paid.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We'll call for a vote on it then. How about Ron,
Yes,
Denny,
Aye.
Brian?
Brian voted aye. He's muted.
I see he's muted there, yeah. Okay. Ken
Aye. Sorry.
That's all right. Aye.
and chair votes aye as well, so motion passes.
The next on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is staff report, August 7th, tour schedule.
Thanks. Oh, sorry, I should
Oh,
recognize.
no, go ahead. I was just gonna say your name. Go ahead.
Yes, so we have made good progress on your tours, thanks to the collaboration between Pam Villarreal with Keller and Mary Camerata. From 10 to 11, we have a conversation with the former mayor and current city manager of Coburg. They were instrumental in helping their community transition from septic to a sewer system. And then from 11 to 3, there is the opportunity to tour the Coburg plant and to return to Coburg Hall. The question to then travel to Staten to see the Staten plant. Understand that the Staten plant is not different than the Coburg plant in any sort of material way. So if you wanted to see that, you could. If you did, we would have to hustle because they're only there until 3. So lunch would probably be grab and go. And then we would travel to a location TBD for dinner, and then the board regular session at 6. So to run through that one more time, 10 to 11 would be the conversation with the former Coburg mayor. 11 to 12:30 would be the tour of the Coburg plant, followed by lunch, followed by a tour of the Staten plant if you desired, followed by dinner, followed by the board regular session. So the staff needs direction from the board on 2 pieces. First, does the board wish to tour the Staten plant? And 2, does the board wish to meet in person for its regular session, in which case staff needs input on a public facility in the canyon that would be willing to host the board.
So, which one do we want to start with? As far as the facility or in person, I enjoy in-person meetings once in a while. It'd be great. Mill City, of course, I could open up the city hall, and I know that Brian, you said that we could probably use the Gates Fire Hall as well. So either location works for me, and if somebody else has another suggestion, that's please throw it out there.
Can you remind me the date?
August 7th?
August 7th. Okay.
First Monday.
Right. That's kind of what I was hoping. I can touch base with the fire hall. It's a bit of driving, so maybe it's easier to just do Mill City. Either way. Those 3 extra miles just might put people over the top.
I guess it depends on which way they're coming from.
I only got 4.8 million miles on me. I don't need 3 more. Okay, Staten, what's behind, excuse me, Chair, what's behind Staten visiting their facility? Is it the same as Coburg or different, or do we just need to do Coburg and understand how they went about getting their sewer system?
I'm thinking, and Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that the Staten system is similar to the system that we're looking at doing, or at least the rapid dispersion ponds or whatever, I believe. And the Coburg, though, is more about the whole story of putting in the whole system and what theirs has ended up like. So Staten just gives us another look at what somebody else is doing that is similar to what we're going to be doing. And Coburg, like I say, it's the whole sewer story.
It might be helpful after hearing the Coburg sewer story to be able to bounce questions off Staten and to hear their story as well. Although touring their plant may not be as necessary. Maybe it's just a sit down with Staten instead of touring their plant.
Just to be clear, the Staten opportunity is with their operators. It is not with their city leadership.
So,
Well, that might be a whole different window of questions, you know.
yeah,
What's it like?
that could
What's
be
it
an
like on the
opportunity.
ground basis?
That could be an opportunity to ask
Sure.
what the operators see as being, as I want to say, the downfalls and the upsides to those kind of systems, things that we might want to know for sure.
Mr. Chairman, Mary Camerata has her hand up.
Does she? Okay. Mary, what do you got for us?
I was just gonna just talk about the visit at Coburg. So, you know, they had septic systems only, And so they put in a step system. And they had to get people to start paying a fee, even though they didn't have the full plant. So it's I think it's going to be very interesting just to give the board some ideas about how they went about that, how they convinced people that it would be cheaper to start paying now than to wait till the rates go up. How much opposition did they have? How did they work through that opposition? Because it was a really, really big lift. How many times they cobbled different funding packages together to make it happen. So I'm hoping you will enjoy the meeting. So it's the previous finance director, who's now the city manager, and the mayor, who was a city councilor, like many of you, and then became the mayor. So I think you're going to get a good opportunity to pick their brains about what worked, what didn't work. Just something that you as a board might have to do when you're trying to bring on users for the system.
That sounds like a great tour.
I agree that the more we can gain knowledge from any of these folks that have other systems already in is going to be to our advantage.
So most of our time is going to be at Coburg, and we don't want to cut that short because it sounds like they've been through a lot in order to get where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And we can learn a whole bunch from them. Okay.
Besides, they have really good pizza place that you might be getting for lunch.
I got my attention.
Mary, what's the population served in Coburg?
I don't have that up top of my head. Let me check real quick, okay?
Sure.
When Mary comes back, Mr. Chair, the next item on the agenda is Marion County update.
And sorry, staff still needs to know, I still need to know if you want to tour Staten or not.
Oh, well, I would like it if we have the time. Absolutely. For me.
Okay.
Who
I
else?
would,
I'll look at
I would be glad to join you there. I mean, it doesn't take everybody to pick a couple of guys' brains. We can.
Right. So anybody I would say that's wants to, though, would be welcome to join in. Obviously.
I believe Coburg's really important for both projects, all the communities. But I agree that not all of us need to be at Staten.
Well, what if we went definitely to Coburg? Those who wanted to go to Staten can go to Staten. Those who didn't could go home and join the meeting via Zoom. And those who did join Staten could go to Mill City and be in person and that would finish the day.
I'd probably
Okay.
still be in person. It's in Mill City, just.
Okay. So Laura, see how
That and
difficult it would be to do the Staten tour. If they're willing and able, then I would say we should try and do a couple folks there.
okay. We'll also be sending out your orders for pizza, as Mary mentioned. Coburg has a famous pizza place, and the Coburg staff. And I just have to say thank you, Mary, so much. Mary really did all of the legwork, reaching out to them, the former mayor and the city manager, and even asking about pizza. So thank you so much, Mary, for all of your assistance with that. And thank you also to Keller so very much for identifying the communities that are going to be putting systems in that look like what NSSA is looking at. So thank you. Okay, that's it for staff report today.
All right, Mary was going to give you some numbers.
1,300 people roughly in Coburg.
Get that in?
Pardon me?
Thank you.
So 1,300 hookups.
Yep.
Roughly, yeah.
But you know, it also, as you guys are thinking too, is once you get a system, then you do attract more development. And so they are looking at opportunities that they wouldn't have had if they hadn't done this. So there is definitely, I can see a value if you get a larger system.
And Mr. Chair, I neglected to, there was one other item for the staff report, which is staff would recommend that the board hold a work session in August to continue to have time to discuss what was learned in Coburg. And per our action plan that staff presented back in March, and that was adopted in April, staff is supposed to begin presenting O&M models to you in August. And so Scott and I chatted, and we think that the best way to start doing that is with work sessions. Right now, it's been a while, but we have August 21st as a work session, and I can work with the board on the appropriate time of day for that. But that would be staff's request as well.
Okay, well, I think we should put that on our calendar then. And I actually already had that in my calendar as a work session. So put that on our official website calendar.
Okay, if there's any time that does not work for the board, for members of the board, and you know that now, feel free to send me an email or a text, and I can start working on that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we have not heard anything about grants, the Ford grant. We haven't heard anything about future grants, where to go. We do have a person that was, a name was given to me by US Bank long ago that does grants, but we haven't heard anything, and I wonder where we're at with the Ford grant. Did we get it? Did we didn't get it? Or where do we stand?
I'll follow up with Silas on that one, Ken, and I'll email the board. As far as grants and loans and such, that is going to be part of the Scott and my presentation at the August work session.
August work section.
On the 21st.
Mr. Chair, there's nothing else.
Oh, I think the county is prepared with an update.
It's Marion County update. Well, you gave yours, so Chris. Oh, sorry, Chair.
Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead.
Bad habit, bad habit.
Go ahead. So yes, Chris, what do we have for Marion County?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a lot this month, just really to report that right now the facility plan is on schedule for the Mill City Gates plant. And I want to just mention, as part of that schedule, there is it's called a town hall meeting, more of an open house in September. So if we are still on that schedule, there will be kind of a significant boost in public outreach happening as part of that. Then also in the upper basin, we're just continuing with our consultations, meeting with everybody to see what their needs are for the septic grant. Nothing major there either, except we're noticing that property is changing hands. So we're always asking for the board and for any other agencies, if they have contacts or are aware of commercial properties changing hands. We don't want them to fall through the cracks with the deadlines on our commercial septic grant. So just please pass the word, let them know to contact us.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Chris, you and I have spoken several times in the recent past about the fact that we haven't met with some of the owners in terms of system designs because of issues related to some sort of a federal contract, which is going to ultimately pay for the design and construction for our business owners in the community of Detroit. We have basically lost a month that at least the folks that I'm working with and representing on the council have not been given any updates. The architect that's working with them hasn't received any updates. I spoke with them today. I'm really concerned. We have serious issues in Detroit. As a city, we have had to deploy 11 porta potties within the community to take up the slack because we simply don't have toileting facilities to serve the population that comes off the highway to simply stop and then move on or recreate within the community. We have got to do something, and we need to do it as soon as possible. I've always been concerned that a temporary solution is the most permanent solution on earth, and I continue to feel that way. And the longer we wait to move forward on the design of these things, the longer it's going to take to implement. I was fortunate to be able to meet with the governor along with Commissioner Cameron and Mayor Trent a couple of weeks ago, and impressed upon her the fact that it's possible to build 2 sewer systems simultaneously if we had the resources, which of course we do not. But somebody in government sure as hell needs to get busy and try and develop resources so that we can move forward, because we're in trouble in Detroit. Businesses aren't doing anything. We're living on food trucks. We've got a mess up there now because we put porta potties in front of some businesses, not to support the businesses, but because that's where the point of exit from the highway is, and that's where people are stopping to use those facilities. Now every food truck operator in the community wants a free toilet at their place. It just goes on and on and on. We do not have the budget even to supply the paper in our permanent restroom facilities at the park, which are overrun on a daily basis. There's over 1,000 cars per day coming off Highway 22 into Detroit. And it's all being serviced, with the exception of a men and women's restroom in the park, through porta potties. And it isn't going to get any better. 4th of July was a disaster. We've got a music fest coming up on the 29th of June, and then we've got Labor Day after that. We need help from the county to move forward on this, and if nothing more, get some grant money somewhere to help us take care of what's going on in our city that is overrunning us with human waste. So anything you can do will be tremendously appreciated.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Nielsen. I also probably should have mentioned, I didn't on the Upper Basin facility plan study. So that one is ongoing as well. And the goal of that is to have basically a sewer system concept plan ready to go, ready to plug in the next stage of funding when we receive it. That one the drilling got held back a little bit, so that was postponed due to a Forestry Service permitting, but it doesn't change any of the construction dates other than the drilling. So we're still trying to move that ahead as fast as possible. And of course, again, the goal of that is just so that it is plug and play when we have the funding. So the Forestry Service is being responsive. We're having talks with them. So we'll be giving an updated schedule on that when we can.
You're muted.
Sorry, muted.
Danny, you're muted. Sorry, Tim.
Chris, I think it's really important to communicate frequently with the people in Detroit, because they're not hearing anything now. I mean, I've talked to 3 different business owners. I talked to Russell Boyd the other day. You know, he has an application in. We know about the Chungs, we know about the Lamans, but nobody's hearing anything from the county. And I think it would be very helpful if somehow you could reach out to those individual owners with an email blast or something on a regular basis to let them know what's going on, so they don't feel like they've been forgotten.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually spoke to Mr. Boyd just this morning. We have received 3 completed grant applications so far. We've got, I think, about 15 people now through that consultation where we just need the grant from them. But Mr. Boyd is one of the people who did submit. So we'll be getting on those applications through our process. And then I think we've made contact with the majority of property owners there, but not all of them. There's still a few that either haven't responded, or when we sent the letters out, the letters got returned. So we emailed, used all that information Keller has, but we are getting ready to do another outreach blast. And this time we're going to reach a little further, get some social media contacts, and work through the Association of Realtors as well to try to make sure we're getting in touch with the person who actually owns and makes decisions about each property. So be looking for that to go out in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Chris, McCoy Creek Road, that's closed to everybody. But that's where the drain field up in the U.S. Forest Service land has been proposed.
Correct.
Do you have access to that land?
That's part of the permitting process. We have to get access, but we also have to get the permit to get in and perform research.
And can I ask who you're dealing with at U.S. Forest Service?
Yes, we've been dealing with Ranger King up there.
Ranger King?
Michelle King's Ranger.
Okay. Because I'm dealing with Amy on access permits for a road. So
I believe Amy's also been in the conversation, but Keller met with them last week and I had a conflict on that one, so I wasn't personally there. But our director, Brian Nicholas, was.
okay.
And I believe, Mary, was your hand up for Ron or myself?
You, Chris, how many people would the Forest Service property serve? Is it for multiple properties or just one?
Well, that property is one of the potential infiltration basin sites. So that
Okay,
would be serving, that'd be serving the entire sewer system for the upper basin.
okay, so it's not about taking care of the Detroit issue right now that Ron was talking about.
It's part of getting the facility plan study ready so that it's ready to plug in when we have that funding to build the sewer.
Mary, just so you understand that McCoy Creek Road is closed and no one has access to it. And I'm just trying to find out if we need to communicate. We need it opened. We need access to it, or the NSSA or the engineer, Marion. That's what I'm trying to get at, and who Marion County's talking with. So, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
I would think that, just for a purpose such as this, that they would allow our engineers or to go in and evaluate the site. I don't know. Have you had any pushback from the Forest Service on accessing that property?
Oh, I think Brian is joined on his phone. I'll let him comment on that.
Okay.
Brian has his hand up.
Hey guys,
Hey, Brian.
let's see. Well, I wasn't raising my hand to answer that question. It was to ask another question. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and answer Mayor Kirsch's question, and then I'll pose my question.
Okay. No, it wasn't so much that we didn't really have any pushback. It's just been taking some time, really. I know they had some staff that were out for a while, and so getting that conversation going has been part of this. I know we have met with them, so they are responsive. It's just a matter of getting to where we can have that access and get in and do the exploration, which involves some heavy equipment up there.
Very good. Go ahead, Brian.
All right.
So, Chris, I'm sorry, wrong Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Chris, a part of Denny's question had to do with our commercial septic design consultant. Can you give everybody an update on where that contract's at?
Sure. So the county has issued an amendment to the contract, but that is an amendment to Keller's contract. So the septic design consultant will be working under Keller as part of the overall contract. Right now we've just now gotten him to where he is under an engaged. So we're going to be feeding those properties as soon as we have the grant applications in. So that consultant is really the one who's coming in for his septic expertise and knowledge of how to take these larger commercial septics through the permitting process. So it's really a key factor in getting those under construction.
Excuse me, Chair. Denny, did you get that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Did you get that, Denny? Did you understand what Chris just said about the process there in Detroit?
I do.
Okay, cool.
Well, Chris and I have had several discussions, and it's always been about this very specialized contractor that for one reason or another hasn't been able to be engaged in and actually execute a contract. So I've been aware of that for several weeks. But my point on that issue was we sort of ceased and desisted any further conversations with at least the people I'm trying to help within Detroit when that development or the attempt to engage this contractor turned out to take much longer than anticipated. So the point of all that was when people don't hear anything, human nature is that they develop their own set of information points that they tend to believe whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. And I just want to make sure that they're communicated with on a very frequent basis with excellent information that can't be misconstrued in their social conversations around the community, which is one of the things we're dealing with.
Thank you.
People,
Yeah.
the businesses in Detroit are desperate. They need help, and they need help now.
Yeah. So I think one thing we can do is when we put out that next outreach, we've got for everybody who has already met with us or had communication so far, we've got their emails and their phone numbers. Part of that is we'll just give them another update, let them know where we are right now, as you suggested, just so that they're hearing more from us frequently.
Great.
That'll be a big help.
Do you guys think it might help? Like, if we were seeking for grants and NISA sought out maybe a grant to hire someone for communication that assisted NISA?
Denny does very well at the
But someone that really blasts a lot of info out, like mailers, messaging, someone that really crafts the messaging and does the social media and, would attend the meetings and write stuff up. Someone that's a communications contractor, an outreach specialist.
Well, for the county's portion, our county staff here in Public Works Administration are doing that. We have a person who's specialized in public communications. So it's just a matter of me feeding them the right information that they can get that out. So I'm the bottleneck there, and I'll make sure I get that to them.
Thanks, Chris.
We could attack it from different angles too. Maybe if NISA was interested in having all kinds of info out there coordinated together.
Spending more money is probably not a good thing. I think just good communication back and forth. There's so many meetings, and I'm not going to speak for Denny. I'm not going to speak for council, but they have so many meetings, and Denny communicates well in all of the meetings for NSSA. They just need more than one communication in 2 months. They need a regular communication monthly.
Thanks, Ken. I think one of the issues to be sensitive to is that we don't want to just shoot out a whole bunch of information. We want the same information set with the same data points used over and over, crisp, succinct, intelligently done so that people can remember it, not just a blast after blast after blast of summary information that nobody will remember, and it will be construed.
On the commercial septic side, you know, everybody's situation is different. So it's when it comes to the commercial septic side, we're communicating with those folks that have submitted an application. So we'll keep encouraging them to do that. So
Well, they
on
don't think you are, Brian. I can tell you that they don't think you are. I talked to 3 of them last week, and they don't think you're communicating with them. So that's great. And I know that some communication is had, but for 2 of them, I know there hasn't been any conversation in 3+ weeks.
Do you feel comfortable sharing with that who those are on the side so we can make sure we reach out to them?
Not on a public meeting, but I'm happy to share it with Chris or anyone else privately.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Yes, please let me know.
Listen,
I'll reach out to you.
I know I sound a bit exercised because I am. And it's all about the fact that I wish I could make 4th of July, Memorial Day, and Labor Day go away, and the Music Fest coming up go away. It would solve 80% of our problems. The problem is we're trying to rebuild Detroit and the interest in Detroit, and I think it's working extremely well. We've got a new city hall. We've just cut MOUs for an emergency tower in our backyard at the city hall. We've got a joint use agreement with the fire department for apparatus there. We're getting tons of community involvement. But nobody's got a place to go to the frickin' bathroom.
and no place to get rid of it.
Yeah, precisely.
So we're moving excuse me, the council's moving real fast in Detroit. I can't use that word, but the effluent's going nowhere. Instead of a
Well,
you know, and
Like I said, we're awash in human waste.
Oh, tourist season.
Yep. I will.
the bucket's
I'll be sure.
overflowing.
Well, I'll make sure and share that financial need with the board's office in the morning.
You know, Brian, I don't know what the county can do in terms of influence with ODOT, the Forest Service, or anybody else. But if we could just get a truckload of toilet paper, I mean,
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
We've gone through $7,000 worth of toilet paper because we are the rest stop from Mill City to Sisters. I mean, it's dumbfounding.
Maples is in the middle there. There's a restaurant place to stop in between them.
Getting back to it, Larry, I think your idea with the communications deal is its time will come, but I don't think it's here right at this moment. But there will be a time when, especially when we start doing more construction and things like that, that we're going to have to blast out and make sure everybody knows what we're doing. Otherwise, we'll fall victim to the rumor mill real fast.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
When
when we're ready for PR people, we'll be ready for them.
Very good.
Awesome.
I know that Laura's got another meeting to attend here in another 5 minutes. She's going to have to take off. So let's move forward. Ken, is there anything else on that agenda that we need to be looking at and addressing there?
Mr. Chair,
I had a question for Chris, please.
Hey, go ahead, Brian.
Chris, we're getting consistent calls from people who are building in gates, and they want to know, what do I do about my septic? Can your communications people just put together a short blurb for our city recorder to share with them regarding new construction and windows? And it's just a 1-pager that they can just get attached,
Probably
connection
a
to
couple
the
different
website.
options on that. Yeah.
Connection to the website, where we are in project A and project B. Just a simple little trifold would be helpful.
Sure thing. Trifold and a PDF. We can do that.
Great.
That work?
That would be great. I appreciate
Okay.
that.
Will do.
Mr. Chair, it doesn't have anything for the next meeting, so the next item would be adjourned. And just a minute, August 7th, 2023 is the tour. August 7th, 2023 board meeting to be determined. August 21st, 2023 work session to be determined. So Other than that, Mr. Chair, you can adjourn.
I do have one informational item that I'd like to share too, but real quick, Brian, you had another comment, question?
Yeah, Ron and I will be busy on August 21st with our CIRA visioning group for our downtown business district. So we won't be able to make that 21st work session if you want to adjust the date.
Ron and Brian will not be able to attend, so we'll just put it down. Excuse me, I'm speaking for the chair.
Sure, that's okay. Now we go ahead and put that down and we'll look at the options on that. Brian, we'll let you know what we can come up with.
And Laura's making notes.
Yep.
Okay.
So real
Thank
quick,
you.
I do have,
Brian Gander,
Yes.
would you be available for a phone call after this meeting? I didn't realize you guys were using Sarah Design and Architecture for your visioning project. We are as well. I wouldn't mind chatting with you for a minute if you have the time.
Yeah, my mayor phone number is 503
Got it?
797 1469.
1469?
Yes,
Correct. Okay, great. Thanks, Brian.
sure, Denny.
Mr. Chair, it's up to you to adjourn. If
okay,
not-
real quick, I have an informational item that I will share from the city of Mill City that might be of interest to the NISA board, and that is, I see Mary, you're still online here. The city of Mill City received a warning letter with an opportunity to correct from the DEQ. We have, it looks like 3 violations at our sewer treatment facility. We had a recent tour and, you know, they found a couple of items where we need to do some corrections. I think we're already working on that. And I actually made contact with the OAWU a little bit today, and they're gonna hopefully help us out as well with what we can do to correct some of these situations. But just so that everybody knows, it's important that we keep moving forward with these sewer meetings and what we're doing. So, thank you, everyone.
Keith is on here as well. Hello, Keith.
I see Keith there, yeah.
How's it going? Yeah, Tim, I saw your email and the warning letter.
Yep. So we'll look forward to working with you a little bit, Keith, on getting these corrections stuff in place. So thank you very much. And I guess I want to thank everybody for attending tonight's meeting, and we'll just call for adjournment.
Thanks, Silas. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Arthur. I know you're helping the fire department. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.